This is probably one of the hardest sort of PvE fights that you can encounter. Laser bombardment wrecking my shields. It's got some kind of horrible mod that destroys shields when it hits me. Because we set it on fire, we do more damage. Hopefully. Oh god, don't do this to me.
Oh no!
It's going to take some more shots at me, but it's been staggered. It can only shoot twice, and at the end of its next turn, unless the Biomancer decides to heal it, which is actually a possibility, it's going to die anyway. I told you, stupid woman. And he got a critical hit.
Oh no! Hello everybody! Oh, I love the...
I mean,
we should have a sound effect for that.
I mean, you kind of ruined it now by mentioning it. Do you want to start again?
No, but like all of my jokes, I ruined them by just like over-explaining them. Yeah. We are back, and we're back on a Monday.
Yes.
Which is a bit weird because we said that we were gonna start up like weekly streaming, but we couldn't really do this on a Thursday again because I'm going to Gamescom.
Yeah. So this is all Jimmy's fault. But hey, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Who's over here?
I think we will let him introduce himself.
Mostly level designer at Time Studios, and I'm going to show you my build today, which is auxiliary based. Thomas.
Okay. Thomas, I think the most important question here before we actually get into everything is your build stronger than Tom's build?
Obviously.
Good. That's what I wanted to hear.
We rehearsed this before you came in, by the way.
Okay, well,
it's important to know. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yes, I've had an interesting Monday, so I guess we should just get into it.
You don't want to talk about your Monday?
Preferably not.
Okay, cool.
We'll do it once we get a lull in the stream.
Yeah. So basically, in the stream, we're going to do the same thing as we did last week. We're going to talk about cool builds.
Yes. Big builds.
Big builds. Building big.
Yes, both of those things.
Yes.
All right.
So what do you have for us?
All right. So this build is based on befriending or coercing NPC factions and or other races to do your bidding.
So just straight up inherently cooler.
Obviously. Which means that the first step is obviously picking Syndicate.
And then...
Because they have operations that interfere with other players' relations with the NPC factions. They have doctrines that help you ally them faster and gain more resources from that. But most importantly for this, they have something called the Cerebral Control Collar, which can turn any unit that is not already a Syndicate unit into an indentured, which lets you do all kinds of neat tricks with them, which I'll show you later. Then we're going to go Celestian, because we double down on the allying with the NPC factions. They have some doctrines that help you with that, getting quicker rewards, getting better relations with them. And they have, most importantly for this, they have the Sway Ideology operation, which lets you steal the relationship of other players with NPC factions and add it to your own.
I really like Sway Ideology.
I've never seen you this excited in a stream.
I like Celestian. I'm just really bad at building Celestian stuff.
Celestian is quite tough, and actually it's naturally a little bit opposed to Syndicate in the sense that Syndicate are quite squishy, and Celestian mods rely on the unit being quite tanky.
Yeah.
Becoming more tanky. So in that department we're going to have a reasonably rough time, but otherwise they synergize quite well. So for background, we have two choices that fit this build quite well. There's the choice between either Merchant Scion, which its economic expertise doesn't really help us too much. Economic techs are not necessarily required. But dwelling trading being 10% cheaper is quite nice. Now, I personally opt to not take this one, simply because inside of the Celestian tech tree and in one of the normal doctrines you can get from allying factions, there's already quite a few bonuses to making dwelling trading cheaper. And I'm relatively confident we can get up to that 50 cap without this. And the economic bonus doesn't help us too much. So, we will go for covert operative, because society operations research means we can unlock additional doctrine slots quite quickly, and this build is quite doctrine heavy. And the actual extra covert strength helps us cast Sway Ideology, and the extra defense helps us not get all our stuff stolen by the AI, which is very inclined to do covert ops on you. Then, because we're going to be doing a lot of fights early on in the game, we want the military detachment if we can afford it, because the extra units will help us complete the quests, which will be tougher fights earlier on. And especially since we're Syndicate, we're going to be quite squishy. Same story for the commander loadout. I picked the close combat equipment because it helps the commander be tanky, helps her soak up shots, and thus helps the army survive, especially in Auto Resolve. And then as a vice, in order to afford that, we picked Decadent, because Decadent synergizes quite well with melee builds, gives you a bit of extra health, a bit more tankiness. And the food reduction, while it is perhaps problematic, won't affect us too much, as most of our units will come from other factions and from the NPC factions, which is influence income. And energy income is not affected, which is the other thing we need. So, voila, we've made our hero. Altani of House Sunfallen. I tend to be a bit more role-playing with my characters. I enjoy making something fancy. So House Sunfallen is a subsect of House Antares, and they broke off due to some disagreements on the property of life, which House Sunfallen believed is up for debate. So we'll be enforcing those tactics upon this
your ancestors led
well,
the earliest
fortunate world.
space, gathering fortunes and establishing aristocratic
So,
houses.
one of the first things we're going to want to do, as soon as we land, is find the NPC factions. So, there's always one nearby, which is the first one that will be easy to contact. Which in this case, we have drawn a short straw, and it's the Autonom. The reason the Autonom is the short straw with this build is they have the least synergy when playing this build. They cannot take indentured colors, the cerebral control colors, and their techs don't really benefit us that well. Regardless, they will still give us a quest, which gives us influence to hopefully vibe with the other faction around. That will no doubt be better. So
they're essentially, for us, they're just going to be like an influence farm.
Yeah, they're going to just be there to provide quests for us, and well, we're going to take their quest. Kind of like look at that yet. So, we'll offer them protection. We will ask them to elaborate. Excellent, they want us to remove some bugs. Now, as in this build, as I said, the first step is always completing the quests. So the main stack will immediately move south to grab that. Excellent, the other dwelling is also nearby. The Grove, which is a significantly better choice to get for us.
This is once again an RNG roller coaster.
Yeah, exactly. It always is, really. The Grove are quite a good synergy as well, because their lower tier models can take cerebral control colors, and a lot of their bonuses are quite helpful economically. So they'll be an interesting addition to our armies. Now, in that case, that means that this scout is freed up to, instead of looking for the dwelling factions, to look for the outposts, because that's the second step. We want to find our own outpost, which is quite standard, but preferably we find an outpost of a race that is not our own as well. Because we synergize excellently with that. No, well, it found the Grove anyway, so we're doing well on that front. So in the capital, looking around for a bit, we do have some food resources, we have some production resources, but we don't have a lot of energy resources. I like to compensate for what I'm missing, so in this case we're going to go for energy. And the last indentured, we shall keep him around to guard. And then we end the turn. Now, we have here the first quest battle already. Hopefully we can find the other dwellings first. I have a sneaking suspicion it's on the other side of the mountain, because they always are. That's just fate. And then here we have the Grove. And that should be nearby as well. Excellent, it's another battle. We'll be getting plenty of training, they're quite nice and close by as well. So.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. Well, I wasn't surprised by it, but I feel like that never happens. You're like, yes, one's over here and the other one's
excellent.
2 turns away.
Yeah.
We have a natural ally here in a Kirko settlement. It's a bit hard to identify, but the name is recognizable. So, the Kirko, they make natural allies, and they have so much so that we even have the colors form fit for them, so they'll be perfect. So we're gonna
I
be
feel bad for them now.
I love this canon now saying ally.
It is now canon. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna rush down the tech tree towards preventative control, because cerebral control colors, this is central to this build. Unit becomes immune to morale effects, gains psionic resistance, but most importantly, it's now considered an indentured unit. And this is a particularly nice synergy with the Overseer, which can boost them to get their action points back, which can be an excellent combo with certain faction units, such as snipers. My favorite being a Vorpal sniper, which you'll see in action later.
Wait, are we having Vorpal snipers that are gonna shoot twice?
Oh,
Yes.
I want to love that build, but I'm not sure I can actually be a person that runs Vorpal snipers. I hate them so much when you run into them.
Once again, a roller coaster.
Yes.
It will be disgusting. So technology-wise, we're gonna want to get the doctrines first, and it's a bit of a choice. I feel going for Noble Diplomats is the best first, because it gives us just that little boost to influence income, and well, the energy income as well, which is quite nice. However, the reason that indentured colors or the cerebral control colors are so good as well is because the unit now counts as an indentured unit. If you have the indentured contracts doctrine running, their upkeep gets reduced as well, which means that you can have some really cheap auxiliary armies running around. So we're going for that first. Now, I did say we're going to rush this. However, because we'll probably not be able to afford these units anytime soon yet, we're going to want some sustainability.
Yeah.
So in combat, what gives the indentured the biggest boost in combat effectiveness is the static build-up module. So we'll get that first, and then we will resolve this combat. They snapped the one I couldn't lose.
Oh,
Objective completed.
big oop.
Well, that is the struggle of early game Syndicate. Syndicate are a great faction, but the early game they might struggle sometimes. So we will be working to replace that one. I'll actually bring up this extra indentured to reinforce the army. This is why I like bringing the extra army size for the start. Especially when playing this setup.
Yeah,
So-
and I think we talked about this before we started, but this particular build has a bit more world map finagling than the one Tom showed up on Thursday, which was more like, let's burn everything.
Yeah, this one's more strategically involved in the sense that on the world map you need to... Whoops. Missed the wrong button. It's more involved in the sense that you will have to be more wary of your relation with the other factions and other players.
Yeah.
And you have to consider...
Retreat successful.
You have to consider your income and how you spend it quite
Successful.
well as well. Because you will have influence,
Retreat
and influence is fairly limited
Retreat
in its sources.
successful.
You'll get it from the quests, of course, which is your main source of it. Your actual generation yourself is not that high, and it will not be boosted to that high at all. As you will see in the save game, which we'll be loading now, I think. Because this will... this build is quite a slow burner, so the start bit's not particularly interesting to show. So I think we should skip
Let's jump ahead.
the early mid game.
Let's do it.
No, not right now.
Yes. And of course, for those that are confused, this save is from, we're on a totally different planet.
Yeah.
But the same start as you just showed off, a few moments ago.
Yes.
So this is for my personal playthrough. In this one, I got, in a way, a lot better off, and in some ways not. I managed to land here with Starfall Primus. We expanded up to Secundus, which was a outpost that I captured. Then we noted that we have a Celestian landmark, which is excellent, because I am playing Celestian, and it will boost our economic power significantly. So we'll be taking that very soon. Then up north, I'm currently being invaded as well, but we found a settlement of the Assembly, which we quickly subverted and brought south. And now they have formed the Converted, where I produce my incredibly powerful Vorpal snipers. and where we will soon be making our Enlightened as well, or the Lightbringers. Lightbringers of the Assembly are particularly good because they get the lifesteal from Assimilate, and because they're not our own race, we can give them the Cerebral Control Collars, which means that they combo with the Overseer, and they get less upkeep. Excellent. So, in this particular army setup, our hero still set up as melee. Item we found, regenerative dermal patches. For the rest of it, we just have the stagger resistance because that's almost integral to making a great melee unit, and Shield of Remorse, which makes them even more tanky and makes the enemies rue the day they decided to target her. Then we have a sniper in support. Not much else to say about that. Then in this one I managed to ally the Paragon, which in my opinion is at least my favorite one to ally with this build, because they have the Arc weapons group, which means that I can upgrade them quite well. But also they have a nice combo between the Fanatic and their soldiers. So in this case we've modded up the soldiers and the Fanatic with the control collars. We have an Overseer in this army to buff them. It is set up to give resistance and accuracy debuffs. Perfect. And the Vorpal Sniper setup we've seen before. A particularly aggressive setup for this one. Stagger resistance makes them harder to get staggered, so the enemy cannot control them as easily. They cannot just throw a grenade onto them and prevent them from shooting or from disabling their units. Control collar to boost it. And the targeting system, which gives 20% accuracy, which is always nice for the sniper, 10% damage, always good. But also flanker, which is damage increase when on the flank. Now normally a Vorpal Sniper doesn't get to the flank that easily, being that it requires all its action points to shoot. But we can do some nice trickery with it, with this setup. So I will show you in a minute.
I like where this is going.
So we're going to attack the Sanctum of Creation. Now this is a relatively close battle, according to points, but we are obviously much better, so we will crush them. These are vile heretics that have taken our site, and we will be getting rid of them in a swift motion.
So what's the on terrain bonus that's happening here in the top left?
Yeah, so on a Celestian landmark, every 2 turns the enlightened units on the map, on the defending side that is, they get healed for 10, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
But also attacker units have a 4% chance to get soul burn. And soul burn means that you take extra damage from all enlightened units in the combat, which in this case is all of these defenders.
Yeah.
Save for the hidden, actually. They do not have a Celestian mod. Look at that. Excellent. So, what we're going to want to do is we're going to be aggressive as we can be, because that is what is the best. Or exactly, it's just what I enjoy. So we're going to run the sniper up all the way forward. Then it's going to use its snapshot to blind these Lightbringers. Excellent.
So far, so
the
good.
Lightbringers are controlled. Then we kind of want to be able to hit these hidden. But we cannot quite get into range. However, Haya has a phase shift ability on account of being a Void Tech hero. So, moving forward 1 step, and we teleport into the bunker on the high ground. Now, he cannot use his Electrical Blaster, which is a shame, and the heal is not really relevant. And his normal shot requires 3 action points. But we gave him the hero skill, Agile Overwatch, which lets him fire his Overwatch as if he has his full action points. Which in this case means I can set him up in Overwatch onto the enemy, and he will fire his Trans Sniper on any target. Then our indentured soldiers, they can get into range of the hidden. So what we're gonna do is we move them forward. We move our Fanatics forward. The Fanatics will use Overdrive on the soldier. Now, Paragon units have this mechanic, which is Overdrive, which lets them, when they're given an Overdrive by either the Fanatic or by the Techno Prophet, their abilities swap out. Which in the case of the Trooper means that their rifle becomes an Arc Assault Rifle with a stun, which is incredibly powerful. And their normal grenade becomes a stun grenade, effectively.
Nice.
the normal Paragon Trooper is, of course, weaker than than the equivalent tier unit, but when overcharged, it is quite a lot stronger. So, we don't have a high chance of stunning this unit, but it's worth taking regardless. So, we will fire on them. Static charge. Now, my Overseer cannot reach the Vorpal Sniper, so we cannot give them an extra run. But we can move them up as far as we can. And give our troopers an extra go. Now, they're quite hard to hit now because of the mods I put on the Overseer. The Mantle of Clarity giving them 20% harder to hit. And the Flames giving them 6 thermal resistance, which is quite useful against the Lightbringers.
Mm-hmm.
Then, now because he has his action points left, and because we gave it a static charge, we're actually gonna wipe out this hidden unit before they can even move.
Enemy killed.
It's even stunned, but I would say being dead is quite a lot better than stunned.
Yeah.
So that is taken care of. Then we can move forward. We can perhaps fire a missile onto these gentlemen, but I don't think it would be necessary at all. It doesn't stagger them. 6 damage is not enough to hamper the approach of our hero. So instead, we're gonna run the hero along the side. What is the fastest way up there? This way. Now we are quite clumped up, but they shouldn't have any AoEs, except for the Enlightened, or the Lightbringers. Beg your pardon. They are also Enlightened, but they're not called that. Now, they will counterattack. They will probably target the hero. But the hero should be fine. It should be tanky enough to survive. It's in a bunker. We have blinded the closest one, which they've promptly removed. Should have seen that one coming. But, positive side of things, that did take the turn of the Star Guides.
Yeah.
Which means they did not damage us, which they could have done quite heftily. Like, they do a lot of damage. Now, I cannot use the Mending Rig on myself, which is a shame. So we have no way of actually recovering them until we can get the Overseers in range. That said, we're gonna run Altani herself in. We're gonna activate the regenerative thermal patches. They're free to activate. They stay for 4 turns. So we're just gonna activate it. She'll probably take some damage by the end of it. So we're gonna run her in and punch these Lightbringers in the back. Oof. So they're light burned, which is quite nice. Now, this ability does not recharge for 2 turns, so they're likely dead unless we come up there and heal them. Which we will promptly do. Now, this is also has the advantage that it does apply the obfuscation effect and the thermal resistance, which means our hero is quite likely to survive. Now, this one here still has melee overwatch, so we need to get rid of that if we are to actually get the hero to safety. Now, there's 2 obvious ways to do this. We can hit them with the soldier, which has a possibility of stunning them, but I'd rather use that as just a source of damage. We can also move the Vorpal Sniper up and disable them. Let's see if we can do that. Concussion, 65%. It is a risky maneuver, but they are stagger resistant, which means shooting them with the sniper rifle, it will just do some damage. It will not get them. We need to control these. So we're gonna use a concussive shot on them. That should knock them out. Excellent.
Nice.
So, because this one is concussed, has no melee overwatch. The other one used it up on Altani. Haya can shoot without getting retaliated upon. Now, the risky thing here is we need to deal this Transcendent, because this bound with something. It's bound with this Lightbringer, I suppose. Yeah. So this Lightbringer, targeting him doesn't do anything, as you can see when the hero hit him. That the damage went on to the Transcendent. The damage that is transferred that way is reduced. However, if we snipe them, that damage is not reduced at all. So if we weaken, we might actually be able to to knock them out entirely. Now, the damage they have is 8. Rifle does 15. We can wipe out the Transcendent by shooting at these troops, which is in this case not a bad idea, honestly. So, we will be firing from these gentlemen. Now, the great part about the Transfer Pain is it doesn't actually block status effects. So, these are stunned, and the Transcendent is highly damaged. So we can easily finish this off. Hopefully. Sadly, the cheeky teleport is not far enough. We will be firing on them, and hopefully not hitting our own men. He says hitting his own men 3 times. Yeah, that is... oof. We can do something about that. These all have stagger resistance, don't they? No, they do not. Excellent. Well, in that case, we want to control these 3. Because they are dangerous. Well, we want to control these 2 and wipe out this one, so that he cannot act. We'll use an arc discharge. This ability is quite nice and cheap, but it's quite effective in staggering. And these star guides have quite a lot of resistance.
Yeah.
But the jump will give them stagger, which means they have less action points, and it will kill the transcendent. Or reawakened.
Right.
That's that taken care of. Now, we should be able to skip this turn just fine without dying. The one risk is Haya getting sniped, but he has clarity, he should be quite safe. And I have a feeling these gents might go for Blinding Light instead, which does less damage, controls us a little bit, but we have plenty of units to replace any units that are blinded. Now that's the Soul Burn effect, only affected the sniper. Ooh.
This battle
So-
feels like the opposite of Tom's battles from last week, because he got staggered all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the great part about Celestians. Celestians, the first tech you unlock gives you this particular mod, which is the Tenets of Tranquility, which gives you stagger resistance. Makes you enlightened as well, which is a good little side effect, because most operations from Celestian affect you better, or get better even, if with more enlightened units on the field. And the stagger resistance is, of course, great. It adds to your survivability immensely. So, these, we can probably not avoid the melee of these. One melee attack will knock these guys down quite low. But that is a risk we might be willing to take. In favor of it not staggering our troopers. So, we step these one back 1. Oh. Ooh.
Ooh.
Phew.
Okay, so
It's gonna die.
Oh.
Yeah.
these will die unless I either dispel them or I finish the battle before this ticks. So
Yeah.
this turn. I'm generally in favor of ending the battle. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be overcharging our troopers. And now because the melee overwatch is used up, these can take a step back. And fire into the back. And here's hoping they stun. Sadly not. But we've weakened them significantly. And I'm fairly confident we can finish them off. Now Altani we're going to bring into melee with the Star Guides. Because if she's in between here, she will automatically melee attack either of them that acts. Which is a good little extra DPS. This one here is going to be unstunned very soon. I do not think I can actually end the battle quickly enough, so we're going to probably have to dispel. Or heal, in this case. Let's go for this. Can only hit 1 unit. But, as you can see, this is one of the operations of Celestian that gets stronger from, from enlightened units being present. So in this case, because all of the units here are enlightened, except for, I think, these gentlemen here, we can heal for a whopping 33 health. So, we're gonna do that.
That's pretty good.
Because living is good. And I do not want to have
Love
to
this.
revive this, because I want to save up my influence. Now, we can... Okay, so, here's the play. We fire on these.
Enemy
Wipe them out.
killed.
Then
I
we
just
can fire
realized
on the stack up here.
There's so much wisdom in this stream. Now we established that stunned is dead is better than stunned.
Yep.
And now we established that living is better than dead.
So you're saying there's some type of tier system?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a font of wisdom, what can I say? So we're firing on these. That actually is not the ideal move. It would have been better probably to fire upon the Star Guide instead. This is gonna probably hurt.
Yeah.
They're gonna hit Haya quite hard. Now he is Syndicate, which means I should have given him the escape module. I don't think I did. Oh.
Japple Wapple says it's a cycle. So you live. you die and then you become stunned and then you start living again. Is that how it works?
Exactly.
Oh,
So they did not get to act yet. Perfect. I should have realized that actually. You actually
the
see that on
plan
your
all
turn.
along.
Yes, it was all just as planned. So, in that case, we're just gonna wipe out these chumps because, you know,
Yeah,
they
get
stand
rid
for
of them.
good,
Enemy
which is
destroyed.
obviously unacceptable.
Critical hit snipers is the most beautiful sight.
So, here you note, we take a little step to the back because this unit has no melee overwatch. This unit still gets free attacks. We take one step to the back, means you get flanking, bonus damage on each attack, wipe it out even faster. Now, we're gonna... These are no longer overcharged. Oh wait, they still are. Look at that. Never mind then.
Handy.
Excellent. Well, we don't need to do anything like that then.
Enemy down.
Perfect. Then we wipe out the last of them. Do we have any heals left? We're gonna use his heal. Because we can. And that helps us afterwards.
Good riddance.
And then we
There
have
we go.
quite soundly wiped out these heretics.
Rule supreme.
There you go. Excellent.